This is Beirs from FridayNightGlory.com alongside Marc Henry and Matt Davidson from the Top Texas Prospects. We talked about these games earlier this week on the podcast. We saw the game, Highland Park really cementing their legacy, winning that third straight championship. You want to talk a little bit about that game?
Well, I think that shout out to Highland Park, the Scotty Magic as we call it now. I think Coach Randy Allen brought his guys in here. They took care of business. They did what they're supposed to do. Shout out to them for winning a third straight. It's hard to win three. You got Chandler Morris, Prince Darby on one side. I mean, you got those two guys who are iconic guys on the high school level. You got to tip your hat to those guys. So, shout out to them, and shout out to the Shadow Creek team. It was a first-year varsity school. I mean, they did their thing too. But, at the end, experience counts.
I want to piggyback off of Marc and talk about maybe on the prospect side of things, that Highland Park squad that they have.
Yeah, so Highland Park's team is always a well-oiled machine. They just stay together, and they run the pro-style offense. They do what their coaches tell them to do. They're very disciplined. You got Prince on defense, defensive end. He's a stud. But other than that, they don't really have a lot of D1 players. They got a bunch of kids that just bought in, and they do what their coach tells them. They go win state titles.
And we're moving to that second game. Obviously, we saw that first game. It was a pretty good game. Then you get into Longview, a team that has struggled over the years of maybe getting over that hump and winning the state championship. They finally do it. They beat Westbrook 35-34, hard-fought game. You want to talk about that game a little bit and how the flow of that game went?
Yeah, so that game was about controlling the clock, controlling the line of scrimmage, and being smarter than your opponent, and they were. They called the right plays at the right time. That was in the fourth quarter. They made big plays when it mattered. That was in the fourth quarter. And then most importantly, they put together a drive that really just killed and took out all the air out of the stadium. And so then there you have it. You have Longview, who's gotten there plenty of times, but they've never gotten it done since, the 30s. So it's been over, I want to say, 50, 60, 70 years. Pretty long time. And so we're looking at Longview now, and we're saying, okay, you made it. Good job. We're proud for you. And I'm very proud for Longview.
Obviously, y'all from Top Texas Prospects. You want to talk about maybe some prospects that stood out for you in that game?
Hayes King, he was the 6A Player of the Year, AP Player of the Year. He was as advertised. I mean, he's a coach's son, so you expect him to know what he's supposed to do in the game. I mean, they probably discuss ball over dinner, always on rides home. When you see a guy like that, he's as advertised, and I was very, very impressed with his game. Shadow Creek, they came up a little short. The quarterback was about 5'6", Jamarian George, but he played a heck of a game. He had a 99-yard touchdown run, which was one of the longest in the state history. So shout out to Shadow Creek again in that earlier game, but Longview put it on him. Bowman Westbrook had a great game. The wide receiver number 2, excellent player. They couldn't stop him, but at the end of the day, Hayes King and Longview pulled it out, and shout out to him. And he got an offer recently from Les Miles, the new head coach at Kansas this week, so he's on the radar. He's only a junior.
And we roll through those games. We get to 7:30. Finally, the game we've been waiting for: North Park, North Shore, and Duncanville. I said on the show earlier that I think Duncanville was going to come out and punch someone in the mouth. They ended up getting punched in the mouth. They responded well. They're trailing here at half, 29-20. You want to talk about the flow of this game?
Well, I think that on the back end right now, Duncanville is getting exposed a little bit. The wide receiver has number 19 for North Shore has 2 long touchdowns. They have shut Zach Evans down as one of the top running backs in the class of 2020. He's 1, Jace McClellan's 2, and sometimes vice versa. They've pretty much bottled him up, but those 2 long touchdowns hurt. The fumble at the beginning, that was just like opening up the floodgates. That gives them an advantage, the turnovers. But, one thing we've been talking about all night and a lot of conversation on the sideline, the instant replay to me is slowing down the game a little bit. But it also was controversial. You had a couple of plays down here that were overturned. So, we'll see in the second half. Of course, North Shore comes out with the ball, which is to their advantage with a 9-point lead coming out. So we got to see how they come out. They should keep being aggressive, and that's going to be the difference in the game.
And for me, really, Duncanville, what stood out for me is they're trailing by 9. It's their inability to score in the red zone. They've been struggling in the red zone offense. They've been settling for field goals. They can't do that if they want to keep up with this high-powered offense in North Shore. Talking about the second half, what do you think the keys will be for Duncanville to really come back in this game and take home a state championship?
First of all, you got to stop letting 19 go score on you on big plays for 50 or 60 yards at a time. Okay, North Shore can't put together a drive. They can't. They haven't done it. They've scored on 2 big plays. and that's been to their advantage. They got 7 points spotted to them in the beginning of the game because Duncanville's tried a obscene trick play that I would never try. But anyways, that's for another time, another place to talk about. I feel like if you're the best, you don't need to come out and do a trick play, okay? So I didn't like that play call. You spotted them 7 points, and here you are. You're down by 9. I think you're lucky to be down by 9 because it could be a lot worse. They could be down by 14 or 21 right now, and I think that if Duncanville wants to get the ball back, they need to come out and make them go 3 and out, go down there and score. Then you'll have it 28-29, and there'll be a different ball game.
All right, well, we'll look forward to a high-scoring, really outgoing second half where we're crowned a 6A champion. Make sure you follow both of them on Twitter. I'll put their Twitters down below. Make sure you check out their weekly podcast, Top Texas Prospects. Riley Beirs, Marc Henley, Matt Davidson, FridayNightGlory.com.